Okay, Daryl Huff again with Colin Moore, our HNN political analyst. Now we're going to talk about the Honolulu Charter amendments that are on the ballots for folks here in Honolulu. And some of these are kind of controversial, but we'll start with the first one. And I'm not going to read the whole thing because, again, it's long. This one involves whether a certain proportion, I think it's 1/2 of 1% of the city's revenue from property taxes, would be deposited into something called the Climate Resiliency Fund. This kind of fixed funding for something, it's popular with advocates, but there's issues about, whether it's appropriate financially.
Sure. I don't think anyone doubts that we're going to need to spend a lot of money on climate resiliency action. I mean, we're going to face sea level rise and a bunch of other issues. The question is, should that money go into a dedicated fund, or should it, like it does now, just go into the general fund and the council can determine how they want to spend that money? So I think, if the advocates would say we want to make sure that's a dedicated stream of funding, so we have that money already. The opponents might say, look, we need flexibility in how we spend our money. Why are we going to lock up the money in a special fund?
Because that means you can't use it for something like homelessness or something else.
Exactly.
Okay. Charter question number 2. This was called the Herman Andaya Amendment by some because some people felt that the director of Maui's Emergency Management Agency wasn't really qualified to do what he was doing. That's a debatable question, but this would actually put some specific qualifications in the charter for Honolulu's emergency management director.
That's right. And it's important to recognize that the former emergency management director here would have met these qualifications. But this is just to make sure that you come with these 5 years of emergency management experience before you can take that job. So it's just sort of a guarantee. But you're right, it really is motivated by what happened on Maui.
There's a lot of extra language in this thing that might confuse people and misdirect them a little bit. Like it talks about that person needs to be civil service protected and so on. Apparently that's already the way they do it. So really the only new thing is these qualifications.
Exactly. It's just cleaning up a few other things, but the most important point is to make sure that the director has these qualifications.
Okay, not a lot of controversy there. Charter question number 3, this involves the whole ocean safety division that was debated heatedly between the council and the mayor for a while. What would this do, and why is it important?
Sure. So Mayor Blangiardi split ocean safety from emergency management, and this would give ocean safety the same sort of board or commission rather that oversees police and fire and other emergency management departments. So it'd make it more consistent. They would appoint the director of ocean safety. I don't really see a strong argument against this. I mean, again, like so many of these charter amendments, it's kind of cleaning up things to make them more consistent across the city.
It also has the commission hiring or firing that person. A lot of this will depend on who gets appointed to this commission.
Of course. And so, I mean, the commission is only effective if you get people appointed to that commission who know something about ocean safety, who have some expertise, and really can vet the head of ocean safety. But this is what we do for fire and police already.
And again, it takes the politics out, so theoretically the mayor can't just appoint somebody.
Exactly.
I mean, buddy, B-U-D-D-Y, buddy. Okay, last question, and this is the funnest one.
Yeah.
Funnest one? I don't know if that's right.
Most interesting.
Most interesting one. And this is about the salaries of the city council, which was a huge controversy after the city salary commission boosted their salaries by 64% to over $100,000 for what is technically still a part-time job, although realistically apparently a full-time job. What is the effect of this amendment if people approve it?
All right, so right now the Honolulu Salary Commission sets the salaries for city council and some other high-level appointments. The only thing the council can do right now is veto those, which they did not do last time. So what this is going to do is say that it will cap the annual salary raises for members of the city council that would be tied to the union contracts for city employees, but the council members couldn't get a raise above 5%. So say, for example, union city employees got a 3% raise, council members could get a 3% raise. Now, maybe at some point union city employees get an 8% raise. This would say the most the council members could get in that situation is 5%. So this really addresses a lot of folks' concerns that, council compensation was out of control. They're getting 64% raises. This would say from here on out, it won't do anything for the raises they already got, but from here on out, it'll be tied to the raises that union city employees are getting, and they can't get more than 5%.
The other big aspect of it, it does take away the council's role in setting its own salaries. Why is that important, and is it really a conflict of interest? This has been in the books in most places for many years.
Yeah, I know there are some members of the council have seen this as a conflict of interest, that they'd be acting on their own salaries. I mean, I don't really see it as a conflict of interest. I mean, it's very transparent. If voters don't like it, they can vote these folks out. I mean, they're very accountable. It's very visible. I tend to think that that's not necessarily a bad idea. I mean, in a lot of ways, having this be that transparent, having members of the council responsible for their salaries, has actually dampened the pressure to increase it, because they don't want to face the voters and say that they've increased their salaries
and
that
that's
much.
one of the reasons they said that this big bump was necessary, is because they just rejected
Been
it
so
whenever
long,
it came
yeah.
out, because they were too chicken to actually approve their own
Exactly.
raises. Okay, so that's a two-for amendment. That's both capping their salaries and taking away the council's role in approving or disproving the
Right.
salary. Okay, that's all about the Honolulu Charter amendments. We will have similar conversations about all the other counties and the statewide amendments also on our website.